Hello, 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 and welcome. Now, today I am going to be talking about how to be a great leader with none other than the leadership expert herself, Miss Marlyne Pierce of Modern Mogul HQ.com. Now, just in case you're unfamiliar with me and you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself. My name is Nina Dafe, and I am the founder and the editor of the Far Above Rubies Collection.com, where I help ladies just like yourself to know their worth, power, and purpose as women of God. Now, if that sounds right up your street, then I would definitely consider subscribing. Now, before I jump into introductions to Marlin and stuff, I want you to stay tuned because today we're going to be talking about not only how to be a great leader, but how you can actually develop those things within yourself. And just in case you're not sure about where you should be leading, we're also going to be talking about how you can discover what your purpose is and therefore where you should be leading as a result of that. And then we're also going to be discussing how to overcome obstacles as a female leader, as well as so many other pearls of wisdom that Marlin is going to pour out for you. So as I said, stay tuned. We're going to jump right into the interview straight after this introduction. Okay? So, Marlyne Pierce is a business consultant and leadership strategist with 15 years of experience working with C-level executives at global companies such as Accenture, Amex, Citibank, State Farm, MetLife, and Softcard Mobile, acquired by Google Wallet, to develop and launch large-scale and disruptive technology products to award-winning market success. A graduate of master's and executive level programs at Columbia and Wharton universities, and having a family origin of entrepreneurship, Marlin is passionate about helping dedicated executives and entrepreneurs accelerate results by disrupting the status quo, building what matters, and leading with love and adventure. She also partners with organizations such as Girls Who Code, Higher Tech Ladies, the National Science Foundation, and various business accelerators in the New York City area to promote human-centered technology and advocate for women in tech. Marlin also writes for HuffPo and speaks on topics related to business strategies for growth, leadership, and reinvention, and also building what matters from a place of love and true wealth creation. You can access her podcast and blog at modernmogulhq.com. So without any further ado, we're going to jump right into the interview. Hey, Marlene, once again, thank you very, very much for agreeing to do this interview. Really, really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. Right, so you know already that I've kind of already introduced you to everybody and let them know how fabulous you are and what it is that you do. But just in your own words, could you just kind of introduce yourself and what you do for everyone listening?
Absolutely. So again, thanks so much for having me. I am a business consultant and a leadership coach, and I work specifically with women and men who are disruptors in the technology industry. Right now, I work a lot more with women on the leadership stuff, but on my business side, I work across the board with men and women who are really building SaaS products in the technology field, particularly around financial services. And I also work a lot in my leadership practice on helping people like get really clear on what they want to be focused on and how to accomplish it from a business perspective as well as from a personal perspective. So I'm super excited to talk to you about that today.
Yeah, no, it sounds amazing. And what kind of led you down that path, sort of the whole leadership and, everything that you do with, Modern Mobile HQ and all that sort of stuff? What's been your journey, especially with faith and how that kind of ties into everything?
Yes. So that's an interesting, I mean, we could talk probably for a few hours on this. but
Forward answer whenever someone says, well, how did you get into so?
But I started my career in business. I mean, coming out of college, I kind of went what I thought was the the solid ground, right? So this the safe path, as my mother taught me, like go with what's secure. So I knew going into college I was going to do business because I didn't necessarily want to have to do a master's degree or kind of a PhD or something more after finishing college. I wanted to make sure that I could get a job that would be lucrative. And so in my undergrad, financial. I studied finance and economics,
Wow.
and my goal was to get into the financial services industry within New York I grew up in New York and finished high school in New York. Although my family is originally from the island of Jamaica.
Oh, nice.
So we're originally from Jamaica. So, as immigrants, we're very like, let's make this happen. Let's make this work.
You're putting me in mind, like, of my dad, like, where my family's originally from Nigeria. I know.
Yeah.
Up in the UK, and I can literally hear him, kind of going, education, 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 like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's true. I mean, it's definitely one of the key things, right, for success and for kind of building wealth, building knowledge. So definitely it's one of the solid building blocks. So education was super key to my family as well. Is like hard work is like, part of our motto. Work hard and it will happen. So anyway, so I did my undergrad in finance and economics with the hopes of going into kind of Wall Street, working with the banks there, and so after I left college, I started with one of the biggest banks, a global bank on Wall Street. So that actually did happen. But while I was there, there was like just a lot of things happening in the news. There was a big financial, I would say, crisis or scandal that happened at that time.
Okay.
Involving kind of Enron. If people are familiar, I'm kind of dating myself a little bit. But I became quickly like disillusioned because I felt like even though I was able to get to that place, I had really great grades going into, finishing college. I graduated summa cum laude, one of the best, I would say, community colleges in New York City. But I still felt like I didn't really fit there, and I didn't really understand like what people expected of me, which was weird, right? Because you're kind of like, I felt like school should have prepared me for whatever was going to happen. But there was a lot of other nuances that I wasn't taught around kind of culture and the subtleties of kind of corporate culture that was not instilled or just never picked up on, because my family wasn't necessarily kind of from a corporate space. And also being an immigrant, you just think about things differently, and I just didn't really fit there. So I was there for about a year. And then I went to work for the university system. I went to work for a research center, the Institute for Social and Economic Research and Policy, at Columbia. So it was a social science research arm, and I was able to bring a lot of the experiences I had at the large bank to that experience there. And really, that's where I would say my career really started. I really started to learn more about people and the working environment, the working in an office, like what was expected more of me, not just kind of like doing my job, but being able to bring, problem solving to the table, being able to like really think through the problem and how to communicate that in a way that people would be receptive of it, etc. And then excuse me, at that time, I also went back and did a master's degree in marketing and strategic communications, because that was something I was always passionate about. But I thought of it, as I said earlier, as something that wasn't really very like solid. I thought of marketing as like pretty pictures and something that I wouldn't get to do, but that someone else would do, right? Because it wasn't like hard enough, or it wasn't like tangible enough. But during that time, marketing became much more data driven, and much more measurable as time went on. So people weren't just looking for pretty pictures and advertising anymore. They're looking to see, how are we using our spend dollars? How are we using our marketing dollars to really drive the return on investment, right? And so it was like the perfect time for me to leverage that kind of marketing, my new marketing master's degree, along with my finance and economics background. So basically bringing together like the data and the creative, and really helping, thinking about how to help companies bring those two sides of the house together from a marketing and a product perspective. So once I finished my marketing degree, I went on to work for another financial services company around product and marketing and leadership, and that was exciting. So mostly it was on loyalty and marketing and product development using customer data. And I mean, I really love that work, to be honest, because it's a very creative space. It's very innovative, and at the same time, it's measurable. So that's a big part of the work that I do right now, in that I help I still work with companies on developing products that customers actually want, which is based on customer data. And then I also help them with optimizing their marketing strategy, which again is based on customer behavior. So what customers say they are going to do, and then do they actually do it? And how do you optimize that process? But throughout my career, as you know, being an immigrant, being a woman, working in the financial services and technology space, there are definitely a lot of challenges that comes with that. And I've definitely had my fair share of them. And I've also worked, very closely with a lot of leaders who have become mentors to me in a lot of ways, who I've been able to learn from. And I think the whole idea and concept of leadership is something that I just became super passionate about, and really wanted to help other people like me understand some of the nuances of leadership. And it's not just about, leading in a corporate arena, but it's also about personal leadership, and what that means for your life, whether or not someone promotes you, right? Whether or not you get to that C-suite in the corporate space, or if you're an entrepreneur, what does that mean? What does leadership look like for you on a day-to-day basis? And so that became important. And then as I've been working with corporations, about, I would say, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago now, my one of my dearest uncles passed away. And yeah, and he was very influential in my life growing up in Jamaica, and and he was also an entrepreneur. And when I was growing up in Jamaica, like a young teenage girl, like, he was a big champion of mine. He would always say I'm smart, I'm witty. He would always say these things about me, and other people would be like, yeah, whatever.
Thank God for Uncle, right?
I know. So therefore, he was always my favorite uncle. Um, so unfortunately, so basically, I would grow up around his business and see how he would handle customers and how he would handle his business. And when he passed, there was really like a strong connection between his illness and his, I would say, sadness about his business and where he was in life at that time. And a lot of it had to do with his business and just the financial status and what was happening with him. And so that kind of reignited a little passion I had for, you know, um, really giving back and being a part of the entrepreneurial community. And as we know, a lot more people are leaving the workforce. Women are leaving the workforce. Immigrants, minorities, people who just can't seem to lead in these corporate spaces because it wasn't, created for us, right? Quote unquote. It's they're trying to be more entrepreneurial, but there's still a need for the right leadership skills and the right business skills. And so I think that bringing up some of my corporate experiences and some of my experience kind of working in these spaces to this community is something that I really want to do through Modern Mogul HQ and through a lot of the work that I'm doing now. So I do still work with corporations as a business consultant and as a product strategist. And I also work with entrepreneurs to help them develop their businesses, their products, and to become better leaders. And leadership is something that I'm passionate about because, as I said, it's not just about where you work or what you do, or if you have your own business. I mean, we're all leaders. If you can influence people, if you can change someone's life, if you can have an impact on someone, then you are a leader, and you should find ways to optimize your value there.
Totally. One of the things that I tend to write about and speak about a lot is very much the fact that, especially like within church, but then in secular kind of environments as well, women are not always very valued as leaders. You talked about the fact that actually more minorities and women actually tend to, be in that bracket as well, are going into kind of self-employment and, leading and being entrepreneurs. But we all know that, as you said, those doors are not always, easily thrust open, so is that also something that you've kind of come across in your journey, and how did you kind of overcome that?
Overcoming the obstacle of being a female leader?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it's and I think I think in every situation and context, it's been different. There are some people who will definitely advocate for you, as a woman, and some businesses are definitely doing that. And then in other cases, you're automatically not expected to bring as much value to the team. You're automatically, whether it's conscious or subconscious, there is some sometimes bias in how people receive what you have to say. And the way I've found to overcome that is, really speaking up and sharing my ideas. First of all, listening, being a very strong listener, that's something that women do very well. We're great listeners, and we're also intuitive. So we can kind of hear what's being said between the words that are not being said. And so I think we have to leverage that for ourselves, not only for our businesses, right? Not only for the business partners or people that we're working with, or even if it's a church environment, not just thinking about how you're listening to help, but how you're listening for how it relates to you.
Yeah.
So I think definitely listening skills are super important. And then once you understand the context and the situation that you're in, figuring out how you can bring your best value to the table and trying to position yourself for that. Because we all need to kind of have a good sense and awareness of what our key skill sets are and what we can bring to the table above and beyond, if your job is to put something in a box. So you want to be able to put something in a box with flair, with a little bit extra happiness, with whatever your special gift is, you want to bring that to the table beyond just putting the thing in the box, right? So I think being self-aware enough to know what you bring to the table beyond that skill is something that's important. Listening and understanding the people around you, and again, understanding their need, understanding what they're looking for, the value, the things that they value, and then bringing that to the table and bringing it to the table in a way that they can accept it, they can hear it. So not doing it in a way that necessarily like manly, or you have to push through. Like there's no right or wrong way to communicate. I mean, there is, yes, I would stay with that. There's no right or wrong way to communicate, but there are ways that are more right or less right, depending on the context, right? And so we have to just be self-aware. I think that's the number one thing, is being aware of the people around you and aware of self, and then how you are presenting yourself in each situation, I think is so key for women. And so you have to know, and with that comes with the knowledge of knowing when to be forceful and speak up, and when to be quiet and listen, and when to share your ideas through someone else versus directly, and when to share your ideas directly, right? It's a little bit of a dance, but it's something that we have to learn and cultivate over time.
That makes complete sense. There was something else that I wanted to touch on, because you talked about, women getting to know themselves, their gifts, what it is that they bring to the table. So if there was, kind of a woman out there right now that feels that she's kind of called to lead in some way, but is not, she's not really sure how to go about that, finding, her, I guess, unique gift. How would you suggest that she does that, so she can bring that flair and make that difference?
How can she find the thing that she's good at, right? So as you know, we're all given some God-given talents, and then we get to cultivate those over a lifetime with the experiences that we bring to the table. And I find that usually we know what our gifts are. We're just reluctant to acknowledge them.
That is so interesting. I can identify.
Or we're not willing to kind of own them in a way that, in recognizing that they're powerful. Like just today, I was talking to a client, and she was telling me that, she's not really sure how she wants to move forward on certain things, right? She's in a kind of a transitional period right now, and she wants to change her business around completely. She wants to make a pivot. But then she was like, I've been doing these things, but I'm not really sure how it's going to translate in something else, and I'm going to want to start over from scratch. So so basically she wants to leverage the experience and expertise she has today, but do something a little bit different. But she's not sure what or how she's going to go about it, and she's not even sure if the things that she's been doing are really her zone of genius, let's say, or the thing that she really should be doing.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to taking an inventory. Think about the things that you enjoyed doing previously. What are the things that light you up and make you feel excited,
Yeah.
and you feel like you really made an impact? And it could just be talking to someone. It could just be asking the right questions. It could just be creating an event, and making the table pretty for everyone. It could just be something very simple, but it excited you, and people saw that. People saw you doing it and complimented you on it, right? So that means that the people around you can also value it, because it's not just about what you love to do, but also that people find value and people relish in it. And so value, say it again.
That you're serving other people, you're making.
Absolutely. It's your highest value is when you serve. Your highest value is not just for yourself, it's when you can give your gift to someone else, right? Just like there's a story in the Bible about the talents, right? And so the guy who got the most talents went and did the most and got even richer, and the guy who got one talent kind of buried it because he couldn't see the value in his talent. And he could have had the best talent, that could have been a ruby. But it's because it's that one thing. He was just like, I don't know what to do. Master, you're a man that reaps where he didn't sow, and you expect so much, and I didn't know what to do, so I just got paralyzed, and I decided to bury my talent. I decided not to want to know what my talent was. And so I think, if someone's out there right now not sure what their talent is, they need to dig it up. They need to go back to looking at the things and experiences that, God has brought them through, and really try to understand what the gem is and all of that, and bring that to the forefront.
I love the way you put that as well, because that's, for me, that's a new way of looking at that story, in terms of actually there's probably somebody out there right now that maybe sees other people that, they're able to bake, they're able to sing, they're able to do this and that, and so they think, wow, that person's, so significant and so much more valuable than me, who maybe only has this one thing that I'm good at. But actually, who knows, like you said, that one thing could actually take you further if you actually just, dug deep, like you said, dug it up, unearthed it, and worked it. I really like that. So for me, a new way of thinking about that story.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's basically what it is. We can look at others and say, oh, like, she's smart, she's pretty, she's beautiful, she has the husband, she has the kids, like, she has it all, right? And then you might say, I just have this, or I just have all my feelings. And not realizing that being able to really, be empathetic and feeling what other people are feeling is also a gift. And it's a very powerful gift, because you can help people to understand themselves better, understand their situations better, and how things are impacting them better. So it could just be one thing there. We all have something. There's no one that didn't have a talent or a gift, and your life experiences is something that's trying to show you your gift. So definitely I would, look at that.
Absolutely, I like that. Your life experiences is something that's trying to show you your gifts. That is amazing.
Even the bad parts.
True as well. Yeah, I think, just like they say, what is it? All publicity is good publicity. Like you said, all experience is good experience in a way, isn't it?
Absolutely. None of it is wasted. It's all learning. And we just have to sometimes sit down and meditate or pray and ask, ask God, what is the lesson in this? What is the gem in this for me?
So true. So thank you for that. So, okay, now this person has figured out what their gifts are and how they can serve their fellow man. What would you say are, I don't know, some of the qualities of a great leader? Like, how could they kind of cultivate that then in themselves?
Mm. That's a really good one. So, I mean, there's definitely a few. So I'll tell you how I think about it. And I have like a little bit of an acronym, but as we were talking about, definitely want to leverage your zone of genius and the zone of genius of people around you. So leverage the expertise of others. Don't expect to do everything yourself. So a great leader is not a micromanager. A great leader doesn't feel like they have to be out in front all the time. A great leader, because that's kind of like a manager. A manager is like managing people, right? A leader is an influencer. You can influence from the back of the room or the front of the room. You're an influencer because you understand your value and you understand the value that other people bring. And even if you look at today's environment, it's really about collaboration and partnering with others in order to bring the maximum value forward. So you want to think about leveraging your experiences and those of others in order to accomplish the goal, right? You always want to be in a place of service. So we said not just what you love to do, but if how you can bring that to others. So you're serving. So you're a servant leader. Servant leader means that you're serving, you're leading with the purpose of service. So even if you're the head of the women's group, your job there is to serve those women, not for you to come and show how wonderful you are. You have the best hat, the best dresses. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that you're there to serve them
Yeah.
in a way that uplifts their spirit, uplifts their heart, right? Even if you're running a business, you're serving your customers, you're serving your employees. Your job is to serve, and by serving, to elevate the experience, the feelings, everything about what your goal is to elevate the entire experience.
Yeah.
Just like I was giving a simple example earlier, not just moving one thing and put it in a box, but doing it with your special flair, what makes you unique and what makes you you. That's super important. I think leaders also advocate. They advocate for something bigger than themselves. They have a cause. Like your cause is to build up Christian women, is to make them know that they are powerful, that they're worthy, that God loves them, and God is empowering them to do more than what they could even think or imagine, for them to go out there and get it, right? I'm advocating for women to be in technology and to be leaders in technology. I'm also advocating for people to lead from a place of love, whether you're leading a business or a church, whether you're leading a project group, SaaS product development, whatever you're leading, do it with a sense of love and a sense of caring and a sense of service. And that's what it means for me, when I think about businesses that are worth it, and uh, positions and things that you want to do that's worth it. It comes from a place of love. Either you love it or you're serving with love, right? So you do that by advocating for something that matters, and that's what makes it matter, is that it's meaningful to you and to others. That means you bring a special sense of mission to it. When people say you're mission driven or purpose driven, it's because you have like a mission, you have a burning thing behind it that is calling you. You have to do it. So those are the things that I like to work on. I like to help my clients find and work on as well. um I would also say you want to be a disruptor. Don't just follow the status quo, which is sometimes, kind of a little bit controversial when it comes to church, the church stuff, that can be a little controversial. I mean, even in business, because people do not like change.
Yes.
People, as much as they talk about changing and improving and leveling up and going to the next level and doing the next thing, they don't like change. When they start to do it, their stuff comes up, their resistances, their triggers, and so you have to find ways to, smooth that out.
Yeah.
But to be a disruptor, even if it's just in the way that you think about something differently. Question the status quo.
Status quo. Yeah.
Yeah, question the status quo. Question why do we always do this? Why does it have to be this way? It doesn't have to be in a aggressive or offensive way.
Yeah.
But do it in a way where you question, like, why do we always have to do X and Z? If we did Y, maybe A, B, and C would happen, which is actually what we really want to happen. And we could skip a couple of steps. We could save some money. We can, so come from it from a place of value, what value you're bringing when you disrupt. So don't just disrupt. And disruption just means a change in the pattern.
Yeah.
So things might be going one way and you're changing the pattern. You're going to make waves. Some people might like it, some might not. But as a leader, if you have something that's powerful, that's pulling you forward, a vision that you need to see actualized, you're going to find the power and the strength and the way to communicate it that others can really get it. So that's super key. So I said, like, evaluate everything, question the status quo. And I think you also want to be reflective. I mean, I think it goes without saying, but you want to be reflective and you want to continuously renew your commitment to your goals. So, you know, none of this matters if you don't have a key goal or a key intent of what the outcome should be like, look like, and feel like. So let's say you have a key goal of what you want to accomplish. Let's say you want to put on a prayer breakfast. Let's say you want to, you want to launch a new webinar. You want to, put out a new workshop. Like, you want to think about, okay, so this is the thing I want to do. What's my intention behind it? What do I want the outcome to be for others in it? How am I going to do it? What's my key strength? Who can I get to come and help me to do it, right? To make sure that it's the best that I can produce, right? And then you want to sit back and say, okay, evaluate it. What is the plan that I'm putting into place? Is it working? Is it not? Reflect on it. Once it's over, once it's gone, you want to reflect. Did it go the way that I expected it to go? You want to renew your commitment to the bigger vision, because it's a part of something bigger. It's one event, it's one workshop, it's one product, but it's a part of something bigger. So how do you start to renew your commitment? So that's that R is renew and reflect. And just like we have to, recommit to our relationship with Christ, or a relationship with love, relationship with God, universe, wherever, you are with your walk, you definitely have to, renew your commitment to your goals, and keep those top of mind. Otherwise, we will just, be like the shaft in the wind. That's one of the things that I just watched. I don't know if folks here watch one of the shows that I really like on Bravo called Millionaire Listings. It's basically a real estate show, where these guys come on and they talk about how they're selling real estate in New York City. I mean, the real estate is super expensive, millions and millions of dollars. This one guy, huh?
I said it's like that in London too.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure. I'm surprised they don't have a London version of this yet.
Yeah, do you know what? That might be something to push.
Yeah. So, it would be like a 3-bedroom apartment for like 16 million, because it has like great views, or it has like, a dormant building. Anyway, it's not really about the real estate, although we could talk about that too. But these guys, who are the real estate sales guys, they're just so passionate about what they do. Like, you could not perform at that level without being absolutely passionate about your work. And one of them, Louise, actually left the show last year, I believe, because he just felt like it wasn't really working for him anymore. Like, he was losing his passion for it.
Right.
Even though he was still up and coming. And then this past season, he came back on and he was telling the guys that he was moving to France and he was going to start a new life in France, etc., etc. He was excited about it. They were like, what's your plan? And he was like, I don't really have a plan. I don't know. I'm just going to go and see what happens. I want to start over. I want to start fresh. Obviously, he has a lot of money from his previous work, so he can go and explore and, kind of live that life. And he's also single, which, a lot of, So, so the next thing is, at the end of the show, one of the, Frederick, who's one of the other stars, has his 40th birthday party in France, and they went to visit Louis because he was now living in France. And he had a beautiful villa, like it was amazing. They could look out the window and see like the little river, and people were on the river, and it was just cute, and just everything that you'd expect of like a small chateau villa in France to look like.
Yeah.
And they were like, so are you happy? Like, what's going on? Like, are you enjoying it? Like, what's next for you? And he just started breaking down crying.
Wow.
And this is someone who basically has everything in life, right? Like, he has everything in life. He has options, he has money, he has friends, he has connections, he has relationships, right? And you know what he said? He said that what he came to realize is, if you don't have a purpose, your life doesn't matter. Your life has to have a purpose.
That is so profound.
Your life has to have a purpose. Now, this is someone who has everything. And so if you think about it, you might be worried about, making more money in your business. You might be worried about, if your kid's going to go to the right college. You might be worried about all these different things. But I'm going to encourage folks to look at the at the overarching goal, the overarching purpose. Like, what is this all about? What is this all about? Why does it matter?
Into, yeah.
Yeah, what is it leading to? And that big vision, it has to be compelling and it has to be exciting for you. And then you have to enroll others in that excitement.
Which is I guess the other kind of tough part. I think, especially hearing what you were saying about disrupting the status quo and thinking outside of the box, possibly even being controversial. I think maybe these are some of the things that stop people. Like you said, we might know what our gifts are, but sometimes it's not that we don't see the value, it's actually that we're scared. We're
Yes.
as much as you might have a fear of failure, you can also have a fear of success. And oh my god,
Yes.
what does this mean if I become this big influencer, this big leader, and
Yes.
disruptor? But like you said, it all goes back to purpose, doesn't it? And if it's compelling enough, then you will go forward. You will do what I guess you feel you need to do to see these things, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the other thing is, there's another great book. So you're talking about this. There's a really great book that I recommend by Gaye Hendricks, and it's called The Big Leap. It's a very popular book. Came out a couple years ago now. And in there, he talks about the 4 reasons that people don't take those big steps that they know they need to take. And of course it's related to fear, right? Because we all have fears, we all have concerns, and I mean it's natural because we have our lizard brain, or our primitive brain will say that is trying to keep us safe and trying to keep us in place. And so even saying disrupt the status quo, you're like,
No.
exactly, like you can have a total freak out moment. And so in the book, Gaye Hendricks really goes through about four different reasons why we have this, why this happens. And so that's something that's worth looking at. And it really comes down to, sometimes being afraid of standing out too much, and that we make other people feel bad about themselves and where they are. Sometimes it's a fear of like losing community and belonging. Sometimes it's a fear of not feeling like we're good enough. Like we don't have all the secrets. We don't know all the things that all the other people know who are successful and influencers and blah, 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 blah.
I think that is something that affects women a lot. That sense of imposter syndrome. I see that a lot in women, definitely as leaders.
Yes. So I think starting to dig deep into what are the resistances that are coming up when you are attempting to do something that is outside of your comfort zone is one of the key ways to start overcoming that. And it goes back to what we talked about earlier, which is that sense of awareness, and that sense of really knowing who you are and whose you are.
Yes.
Right. And knowing that even if you're not good enough, he's good enough. And you're connected to the source of all things. So just like Louise, even though Louise in the millionaire listings, he has all the money, all the friends, all everything you could want to leverage, he has that, and he knows how to leverage it because he's done it before. And we might not in the physical realm look like we have all of those things, but we do, because we are connected. And once we start leveraging that connection to source, then we can overcome. And so that's the real meaning of faith, is stepping out through fear and knowing that we'll be taken care of. So
exactly, definitely. Yeah, it always reminds me of Indiana Jones, when he kind of steps out and obviously there's nothing below him.
Yes.
As he step in, it all kind of starts to come together. I think life, especially a life of faith, or even entrepreneurship, because there is a huge amount of faith that has to go into building something from scratch and seeing the vision when nobody else does. It's first of all hard.
Yes.
But it is doable, like you said, if you take it beyond yourself and into serving others, what your purpose is. But especially like you said, if you believe it's a calling from God, and that this is what he wants you to do, then there's almost a who are you to say no. This is then something that you have to do, that you are compelled to do.
Yeah, and it's really about what's calling you forward. What's that vision that um you cannot not do. What's that light that's calling you forward, and that's the purpose that God gave you. That's the desire in your heart, and you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your life to try to accomplish that in whatever way you can. And doesn't always mean, like, even if we go after the things we really want, that we're going to get it.
Right.
But it means that even in pursuing it, it's worth it. Even in pursuing it, it's worth it. It's not. One of my friends left the Cayman Island and came to the States to start her own business consulting or coaching business with a group. And she was a lawyer, and she dropped that, changed her whole career, and came to the States. I mean, I think she's originally from London, but she travels all over, so she's kind of one of those global people. So but she considers her home to be the Cayman Islands. So then she left, and then that business didn't really take off in the way that she anticipated. We didn't really talk about it. I mean, maybe if she had made a coach, it would have helped, but had to push that in there. But anyway, she she ended up going back to the Cayman Islands and going back to her law career. And she said very frankly on one of her posts, she said, um, coming back and being in quote unquote the same place is not the same as not having left. Right. So going on that journey, going on that quest, if it's your heart's desire, it's going to be worth it regardless of the outcome. So you owe it to yourself to go and do it. That's really the story I'm trying to tell here is it's worth it to go after it, even if you don't meet that necessarily pinnacle. Like, think about it. Do you think Martin Luther King felt like when he died and I'm just thinking about this because of our environment right now. Right. But do you think that he felt like he accomplished his goal 100%? But he played a huge part in moving the conversation forward. He played a huge part in changing a lot of people's mindset about what it means, to be a certain people, and what it means to stand up for people, and what it means to advocate, what it means. I mean, he's the ultimate leader, right? Based on what we've been talking about. So his dream wasn't fulfilled. His dream wasn't accomplished. But he gave one other Black man the strength to think about even becoming a president of the United States, right? And accomplishing that. And his dream also was not complete, right? Because he also faced obstacles, but he met a goal and he continues. And I think that's what we want to think about as well. It's not just, our goal is not only for us to fulfill, but to encourage others and to move the ball forward, and that's why I say advocacy is so important. Your life has to have meant something, and whatever that is for you, even if you're just a stay-at-home mom, which is one of the hardest jobs ever, because I feel like, for me, I felt like it was a sacrifice of self in a way. And for many women, I think that it is. I mean, I was a stay-at-home mom. I was at home with my child for the first, I would say, year and a half. A lot of it. I did consulting in between, but I was mostly home. I wasn't like full throttle, like at a job, working my normal 60, 80, 90-hour weeks. So I had to sit down and like care for this child and having no idea about a lot of things. People can tell you, but no one can actually help you live it. So, whatever the experience is that you're having, whatever you think your role is as a leader, be it big or small, we're all here to play a role and have an impact to the collective. And I'm not even sure I'm answering the question anymore, but I just felt like wanting to say that. So don't let the light inside of you die. Like, push it forward in whatever small way you can, with whatever resources that you have, knowing that you are connected to source, right? So coming back full circle there.
That's exactly, yeah, when you said that, because I was thinking, right, so we started out, okay, find your gifts, find what you're good at.
Yes.
This is what it takes to be a good leader. It's about helping others, it's about serving others, but not just the present others. I think what you were saying is actually you need to go beyond the present and actually think generationally. So
Yes.
not just, oh, what do I want to change as a leader now? What bothers me now? What do I just want to disrupt now? But
Yes.
actually, what is the trail that I want to blaze for the future? What is the path that I want to make easier for someone
Yes.
to tread after me?
Absolutely. 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 I mean, that makes it worth it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so true. And it's funny that you say that, because a lot of the times I don't have any children of my own, but I've got a lot of children around me that call me auntie. Or
Yes. We always, trust me, the aunts are usually the favorites, okay? So don't get it twisted.
but I have a god sister who, she's about to turn 16 in October, and a lot of the times when I'm writing, especially about feminist issues, whether it be in the church or in the world or whatever the case may be, I do find that I have her in the back of my mind. I kind of feel like, when she kind of maybe gets a bit older and is starting to think about these issues for herself, I want her, maybe to be able to pick up my stuff and draw hope from it. I want her to be able to pick up my stuff and think, okay, I do have someone to look up to. I do have, something instilled in me that's going to drive me kind of forward. So I really identify with what you're saying in that, because
Yeah.
I think about her all the time
Yeah.
as I'm writing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think that gives more purpose to our work, and again, it comes from a place of service. And I think that's something that sometimes get lost in this online space of, you can do it, you can make it, how to become a millionaire in 6 weeks, how to whatever. Like, there's all these things telling us how to accomplish everything now and in this lifetime and in this space. And, um, we have to give ourselves space to have an impact, that's not just about being internet famous and not just about making all the money next year, and really having a bigger purpose and mission, um, that drives us forward and that makes the hard times worth it. And yeah, of course, we can become probably internet rich or internet famous in this lifetime. Like, that is a possibility, right? If that's part of your goal, that is. But think about it from a place of service. What will you do with that fame? What will you do with that money? How will you make the world a better place? How will you contribute if you are so blessed to accomplish those things? And I think the people, companies, groups who think in that way tend to be the ones who actually are able to find and are able to find and accomplish those really big goals, and get all the, as I was just thinking, follow the Bible says, like, trust the Lord with all your heart. Well, that's a different one. Lean onto your own understanding. There's another one that talks about all these things will be added. All these things will be added onto you. I don't know if you know exactly which one I'm talking about, but the whole idea is.
God.
Hmm?
That's the seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added onto you, right? So it's, really, and when I think of righteousness, I think of the heart, following your heart. So if you follow the kingdom of God and his righteousness, if you follow your heart and the heart of service, all these things will be added. Money, fame, validation, feelings of importance, feelings of whatever, but that's not your main goal. Your main goal is to come from a place of service and true service, and not just to others, but to truly serve yourself as well, right? Because in doing this service, it's a part of fulfilling your mission, your value, your purpose for being here. And I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, because I think sometimes that when people think about service, once again, especially as women, we can put people first to the detriment of ourselves, and not actually kind of care about ourselves, and make sure that we're full before we're pouring out to others. So I think, like you said, it's a dance. You know, you want to lead, you want to have your purpose, you want to be pouring out to others, but we also must remember that if we're not full, we can't pour out to others. We're no good to other people, are we?
Yes, we have to give. One of my friends recently said, we have to give out of the overflow, right? So you have to fill yourself up first in order to give. Just like Christ went on a 40-day journey, fasting and prayer and really connected with God, like building up his foundation, even as he was a son of God, building up that foundation in order to go out and serve the world, really seeing that he could overcome those temptations before he started telling people how to overcome them. So I mean, there's so many examples of that throughout the Bible and in our lives that we could point to. Somehow that one just came up, but it's really about making sure that we can give out of the overflow, give out of a true, give your relationship to Christ to others only when you have a true, fully deep relationship with Christ. Don't be a talking head. Don't be the person who's just mimicking and saying the words. Yeah, exactly. Parroting those words, but have really a true connection to them. And I think that's, that's being authentic. That's coming from a place that's meaningful and authentic, is giving from that overflow and not trying to give and be, what you're not, just because that's the thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think also, especially in this day and age, people are looking for authenticity, and they're not gonna follow somebody who they don't actually feel is walking the walk, talking the talk, actually feeling, living, breathing this thing. Because, well, really and truly, what is it that you're actually going to teach me?
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's easy. It's. I mean, it's quote unquote. I don't think it would be easy for me, but I've seen that it's easier for people to come on and pretend to be a certain thing. And I mean, what we're talking about is not necessarily that. There's two different topics that we're kind of talking about in a sense. Like, one is giving from a place of wealth, giving from a place of what you have, what you have to give, and giving authentically from what you truly have, not what you're pretending to have.
Yeah.
And then there's and stuff is when you are not keeping yourself full, so you're giving, even if it's a true place of you want to do this and you love it, but you're giving and not taking care of yourself. You have to give yourself time to replenish. You have to give yourself time to refill, so you're giving again from that overflow. So whether it's like fake giving or over giving or whatever, it's really about giving from a place of power and a place of strength, and serving and giving from that place feels much different, not only to you, but to the person who's receiving it, right? Because they can sense if it's coming from a powerful place or from a place that's not real.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. I love what you said about giving from a place of power. I think that's what that makes a difference. Like you said, whether it's pretense,
Yes.
I'm kind of trying to overachieve here. No, you need to be authentic, but you also need to stand firm enough in your power to
Yes.
know when to give and how to give. Is really what it comes down to.
Yes, having powerful boundaries is also another one, right? It comes with that. And I was reading something today about standing. When you put on the full armor of God, then you stand, and then you still stand. Right? And to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, that takes power. To be able to stand on your own conviction, of what your purpose is, of what your belief is, of what your point of view is in the face of adversary, in the face of, haters, naysayers, etc. It takes power, right? And it means you stand, but you don't have to stand on your own on your own volition. You stand on the full armor of God, right? So let's read that and instill that, infuse that in our blood, right? So it's not just about your own power as a human, but the power to stand, especially as spiritual people, as Christ following folks, as people who believe in source. You want to really reconnect, especially in those moments when you're feeling sad or not sure or attacked or whatever. Ephesians 6 is what I would encourage folks to read and reread again.
Yeah, no, it's true, definitely. And I find also that it's no matter, I find, okay, if I'm speaking from my own experience, you can be at one level and perhaps you're wanting to move to the next, and that's when, like you said, those feelings of fear or attack or whatever, come up. But like you said, it's constantly recommitting yourself to those,
Yes.
recommitting yourself to Christ. Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Marlyne.
You're so welcome. Absolutely.
I think there were just so many gems in what you were saying. But very quickly, before we, bring this to an end, I just have just some, quick fire sort of questions for you that I normally ask people. So the first one being, do you have a favorite woman of the Bible? Because that's one of the things that I write a lot about. Do you have someone that you maybe look up to, that to you was a great example of a female leader?
Sure. It's funny because I was kind of thinking about this one, and I wanted to say something a little unconventional because that's a part of who I am. So I think of Mary Magdalene in the Bible, and when she went up to Christ and she gave her gift, which was to wash his feet in perfume with her hair. That was a very bold move, right, for her to do, given his stature in that community, given his level of leading those disciples. And when the disciples said, "Oh, you're wasting this, and it could be sold and given to the poor," right? And Jesus said, "The poor will always be with you. I'm only here for a short time." Right? And she's only there for a short time. She's giving her gift. And I think that's how we need to be as women. If that's, your gift could, and it goes back to everything we've been talking about. What was her purpose in that moment, in that context? And it was to say sometimes that the way things may look or feel to others, it shouldn't be your concern. Her gift, she was giving her gift because that's what she wanted to give. She wanted to give the man of God a feeling of being nourished and cared for and seen as masculine in her femininity, right? And so this disciple had his things to say, but she was able to do it anyway, and he was able to receive her gift. And I think that we kind of have to be that same way, like bold, right? And even in our femininity. So
I love that. Thank you. And if you were to finish this sentence, so I am a Christian woman who
is not afraid to rock the boat and is not afraid to, I talk about different things as we were, before we started, I was telling you that I do yoga. I believe, I think of yoga as a scientific technology and practice that goes across different religions and belief systems. And I practice that, and I love it. It's helped me to change my mind and change my resilience. And so does that make me not a Christian for some people? Maybe. But again, it's not my concern. So I'm a Christian woman who's not afraid to go against conventional thought and to do what works for me.
I like that. So you're a leader. That's one of the qualities, right?
Thank you. I'll take that.
I am a Christian. Well, you kind of did this one, but I am a Christian woman who is not.
Oh, that's the one I said? Oh, what was the...
I am a Christian woman who is.
So I'll do that. So I'm a Christian woman who is passionate about women leadership. I'm passionate about women stepping up and leading. And I saw an interesting quote today that said, you know, a woman who aspires to be equal to a man is not ambitious enough. And so, you know, I am passionate about women in leadership in whatever way we lead, in the home, in the marketplace, wherever we lead, in our friendships, in our relationships. You know, we're the helpmeet for our husbands, or you know, in our partnerships. So we really definitely want to be female leaders. I'm a strong advocate for female women, for female leaders. Excuse me.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say? Any other gems, and let people know where they can find you? All of that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so I mean, I think I've given a lot of good, hopefully a lot of good talk for you to go back and listen through here. You know, I think the Bible is one of the best resources we have. You know, keep reading it, keep believing in it, and also expand your mind to be open to different ways and viewpoints, so that you can even go deeper in your understanding of the Bible. I would encourage every woman who's listening to do that. And I really love your the name of your podcast or your interview series around Far Above Rubies. And it's just, you know, I recently learned that rubies are more rare and probably in some cultures more valuable than even diamonds. And we typically look at diamonds and think, oh my God, diamond, it's like clear, it's, you know, it has all the properties. But in a ruby, it's like dark and deep and rich, and you know, it has its own qualities. And I think this kind of goes back to what we've been talking about: is to recognize your own qualities and your own strengths, and not be in comparison. But to know that you can stand on the word, you can stand on your gifts, you can stand on your talents, you can stand in who you are, and be powerful. Be a powerful servant leader. And so I would encourage folks listening to do that. And people can find me at modernmogulhq.com. I do have a guide that folks can download as well. It's called How to Become an Unstoppable Leader. It is focused on business leadership, but there's definitely aspects of everything we've spoken about here. And I'd love to connect. Reach out to me, friend me on Facebook. I'm accessible, and I love to connect with you know, powerful women. So reach out.
I will put all of that, kind of like in show notes and stuff for everybody as well, so it's accessible for people too.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Marlyne, I really enjoyed our conversation. It was just so meaty. I absolutely, I think definitely so much to kind of go away and chew on. And so thank you so much for coming and sharing your pearls of wisdom with us today.
It was my absolute pleasure. I so appreciate you having me, and I look forward. I'm at your service. Whatever you need, just let me know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nina.
Enjoy
Bye.
the evening. Bye. Now, wasn't that an amazing interview? If you were just as blown away as I was by all of Marlyne's wisdom and all the tips and tricks that she just shared about leadership, then please like and share this video. I'd also love to know what your takeaways were as well. So if you do have any takeaways and you want to continue this conversation, then definitely write them in the comment section below this video. And also, I will be back next week with more videos for you, both by myself and with other beautiful experts just like Marlyne, with videos that will help you to know your worth, power and your purpose as a woman of God. So if that sounds right up your street and you do not want to miss another one, then definitely also hit the subscribe button. So until next week, as I said, my love, you just take care and we'll see each other soon, okay? Bye.